And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Happy to be here with you Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And much appreciation to Heritage Hill for our awesome exclusive studio partnership. And of course, you could find Heritage Hill Brewhouse in Pompey, and you could find the new Heritage Hill North right on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse in the Sweetheart Corner area. So big time shout out to Dan Palladino and the whole team at Heritage Hill. We thank you so much for partnering with us. With that being said, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', we're going to start off today's broadcast, as we always do on a Wednesday, with Dolphin Time. And this Dolphin Dive will feature Liz Beville, who is no stranger to the broadcast, the head coach of the women's lacrosse team at LeMoyne. And looking at LeMoyne, looking at this return to Division I, and this awesome experience for so many student athletes, a lot of fight in these student athletes, a lot of successful moments and things to build upon. The LeMoyne lacrosse team on the women's side of things, as well as the baseball team, returning to Division I with a very interesting angle, as they were both experienced in Division I play, as the rest of the programs at LeMoyne College on the Heights came to Division I for the first time. And then we'll jump into hour number 2 with Jason Lucas, joining me from the sports and entertainment world to speak on the NFL draft of 2024 and, of course, the off-season moves. So, with all of that being said here on the broadcast, we now go picture-in-picture for this edition of the Dolphin Dive with Liz Beville, once again, LeMoyne women's lacrosse head coach, coming off of a return to Division I. Liz, how are you?
Great, Dan. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And Liz, with this being such a unique situation for your team, because it is a return. I know for these student athletes, it's not a return for them, but for the program, for the alumni, for the history, there is obviously a unique connection that LeMoyne women's lacrosse has to Division I. What can you say about now coming off of this first season, what that Division I competition was like, and what it meant to you to see this program return to the Division I ranks?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that comes to mind, you kind of spoke on it, like this team hasn't played D1, and that was my first speech in the locker room was, this group is going to have a lot of firsts. It doesn't, we weren't in the past. Nobody was here before when it was D1, but this group got to experience a lot of those firsts. So the first D1 goal or first D1 win in this era, that's how we really phrase it up, is just in this era. So I think we talked about that a lot throughout the season, and the growing pains part of it too. That was part of it. We struggled a little bit at the beginning, and then really found our footing when it came to conference play. So I think it was just a great experience. It was a learning lesson the whole season of just good things, bad things. There were ups, there were downs, but it's something I think our players are going to be able to reflect back on and kind of talk about throughout their lives, of just going through this transition and, changing expectations a little bit too, because there's not the NCAA at the end of the season. So overall, there was a lot to be learned on the year. I was happy, we ended the season at 500, and I think it says a lot about the girls, especially with where we started and where we ended. I'm really proud of what they were able to accomplish.
Yeah, and Liz, you spoke about it, the fact that this program is returning to Division I historically, but that this is a new era of Division I. This is a new book that we're writing here for this team, for LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse. When you see, and like you said, finishing at 500 and seeing what this team has done, when you look back on 2024 and all of these firsts in the new era, what are you most proud of as a head coach when you look at these student athletes and everything that they navigated through this season?
Well, I think you just really look at our senior class, who started their careers with kind of a COVID year. They came in and played a half of a conference schedule. Again, postseason was limited, no overnights, everything like that. And then, they had 2 great years in Division II with kind of some regularity. and then had to go through a transition. So to me, I really give a lot of credit and commend those seniors and the fifth years that we had for everything that they went through and just for their leadership. I don't think, we wouldn't have gotten to the point we got to as a program had those kids not bought in. And I think it could have been really easy to just walk away when the announcement was made, but they dug deep and they battled every day and they showed up ready to compete. So that's, I think, what I really think of. Just had dinner with the seniors, so they're on the forefront of my mind, but I really give them a lot of credit because you need leaders on the team, and you have people who went through a lot of stuff before, and I think that helped. It helped us in this transition to have people who didn't have an easy path right from the get-go.
Yeah, and like you said, when you look at that senior class, the fact that they started things off with COVID affecting so many different things and changing the landscape of sports, and our sport's going to be played, and if a sport's going to be played, where are the restrictions going to be, like you talk about travel and whatnot. For them to go through something like you said in the beginning and then bookend it to the end here and have to go through a transition again and have that affect the postseason again, you said they could have walked away. They could have said, you know what, we've been through things out of our control before. We can control this part of it and we can go somewhere else. The fact that they stayed and that they trusted in your leadership and in your staff, when you sat and had dinner with them and you're looking at each of their faces, what has that meant to you that they've stayed the course, they've stayed the mission, and they've stayed dedicated to LeMoyne?
I think it says a lot about the school itself. I think, you hope that as student athletes, they're making decisions to go to school first, lacrosse second. That's all sports, right? You want to make sure that academic piece, the student piece comes into play first, but it's not always the reality. And I think that, again, right, they could have walked away, they could have gone somewhere else, but they were invested in LeMoyne and the community and their academics. And, I think that is a big piece of it. And yes, they're toward the end of their career, but we see it all the time now. People transferred 2, 3, 4 times. So, again, I'm just really proud of them. I think that they are involved, whether it be in academics, it be in the community. Ronnie Shea was able to give a reflection during the mass yesterday before our awards ceremony. So they're just great people, and they were invested into what LeMoyne is about. And again, it says a lot about who they are as people, not just players.
That coming here in this edition of the Dolphin Dive, featuring Liz Beville, LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach, reflecting on this return to Division One. You spoke about the seniors and what they've meant to you. How about the underclassmen and the newcomers on this team and how they've gelled into this? I know in the recruiting world, you're constantly looking toward the future as well as building the present. So, of the team that was assembled this year outside of the senior class, what can you say about what they've brought to the table and what your excitement is for the future of those underclassmen and those newcomers as well?
Sure. So we were young on the field this year, not necessarily young in terms of our split on the team, but just had a lot of those fifth years, which we've talked about, who graduated. And so we had a lot of players step up to fill big roles this year. I think our rising seniors, rising juniors did a fantastic job of just filling some roles, and you need that. You need that on any team, any sport. So I think they did a great job. I was really happy with our freshman class. We had Maddie Barney, who started playing more and more as the season progressed. She was huge for us in the midfield. And then Julia Blakesley, who was taking a lot of our draws this year as a freshman. So I think it says a lot about them. The rest of their class is and then Emily Knoll, too, toward the end of the season was starting. So we had 3 out of the 6 freshmen getting some pretty big minutes for us this year. So that's always a good thing. When they're doing that their freshman year, that means good things to come in the future. So really excited about that group. But overall, we had a lot of people step up in different roles, and I think everybody did their job really nicely.
It seems like forever ago. I don't know what it feels like for you, but from where I'm sitting, it feels like Cal coming into town was like a half a year ago. It just seems like such a far distance. When you start
Yeah.
off the season with the University of Cal coming to town on Ted Grant Field and getting that 9-6 victory, and
Mhm.
then from there getting to play a bunch of teams based in the state of New York: Cornell, Niagara, Siena, Canisius, and then to get into the NEC schedule. When you reflect back on this schedule, including the fact that this team had multiple winning streak moments this season of being able to string together 4 in a row, 3 in a row. We talked about 9-9 and ending at 500, but when you look back on the season itself, for you as a coach, was there a turning point? Was there a moment where you saw this team really start to gel together, really start to figure things out, really start to say, hey, you know what? D1, D2, D whatever, like this is the competition. We can control our controllables, and this is what we're going to do. Did you see a turning point in them this year?
So we call those our kumbaya meetings. Sit around and hash things out and kind of get things off the chest. So, we had a couple of those throughout the year. I don't think that, I think it took until those overtime wins and then a one goal win versus Merrimack. I think it took us just a couple more wins to really feel like we belonged. I think the biggest thing that our players struggled with is how many we lost in a row. And
Yeah.
2 years ago we were 15-6. We did lose some games, but they were kind of sprinkled throughout. So I think that was just really different for our players to experience so many losses in a row, and it was a little bit defeating. And
Yeah.
until we kind of got into conference play where we knew, hey, we have to win conference games if we want to keep playing, or there is no postseason. I think that was kind of the moment. There wasn't a specific meeting, practice, anything that happened. I just think the reality of it was we knew we had a tough non-conference schedule. We felt that we kept getting better every game. We went from not really competing to the best of our ability to playing hard and actually losing a game versus getting beat, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a difference there. And some of that conversations happened with our LeMoyne way programming this year. But we finally felt like, okay, well, we tried, everything we could. We actually just lost that one where I think before we were getting beat. So, once conference play hit, I mean, that's when it mattered most, right? And that was kind of what we preached all year long. That's the stuff that mattered at the end of the day, honestly. That's where we were able to play in postseason and compete. And we were lucky enough to be able to host a home game. And, it's tough. It's kind of like the NE10. You're going to end up playing a lot of these teams kind of back to back. 2 weeks, I think we had before we saw Wagner again. It's kind of like us in Adelphi in the past. Where just couldn't get rid of them. We just would see them 3 times a year. So, it's just something to get used to. But again, it wasn't anything like big moment. I think they just really buckled down when they knew, hey, postseason's on the line. We want to keep playing, spending time together.
Yeah, and like you said, getting into conference play, no matter what you've done in non-conference, if you take care of the conference, you have an opportunity for postseason.
Exactly.
Thankfully, the NEC, before we jumped into this season, granted LeMoyne immediate access. Didn't have to. There was supposed to be a 2-year hiatus with the NCAA's 4-year, and the NEC met, and the leadership decided that Stonehill, LeMoyne, whoever was coming in for the future was going to have an opportunity to compete right away in the actual conference postseason. You and I spoke about what that meant and what it could mean for your student athletes feeling like they have something to work for. And you made it to the postseason. You got into this postseason, like you said, you got to host it. You got to see Wagner again, a team that you had beaten shortly before. To get to the postseason this year, I understand, it's a close loss by a couple goals, but to get into the postseason, to see yourselves there for this team, these underclassmen, to see it happen, what does this build foundationally as you go forward, knowing that this team in year one in D1 and writing their book said, hey, we know we can compete, we know we can make it, we know that in the NEC we can find our place. What does that do to build this foundation?
But I think it's everything, right? It's everything you just talked about. It just shows them that they belong and that they can get there. But it shows them how much work they need to do, right? I think we fell short of our goal of winning a postseason game, and there's work to be done, and changes need to be made if we want to keep going. So, I think the nice thing is that you do have a class. The freshmen don't know any different. All they know it's D1 now, right? So
Yeah.
that's their expectation. So it's getting those upperclassmen next year to buy into doing a little bit more, right? We add a little bit more every single year because the preparation at this level is just massively different, in my opinion. I think there's a lot more film work, there's more scouting, there's more individuals that need to be done, and you have to get everybody to buy into it. If you don't have the full team buy-in, right, you're not going to keep winning games. So that's the big thing that we need to continue to work on moving forward is just changing our mindset a little bit about the preparation piece. I think we competed well. I think we had skill sets. We need to be lifted a little bit more. We were a little bit undersized sometimes, I felt like, but right, that's something we wouldn't have figured out had we not done it. You got to learn from your experiences. So we'll be pushing hard in the weight room in the fall, and we're going to come back stronger. And the girls are ready for it too. I think that's the big thing. They're not shying away from it. They just know it's something that's needed. So I think it's just getting everybody to identify the things that didn't work this year for us or that worked well and helped us win, and then things we need to continue and work on moving forward.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it's a learning piece from the head coaching seat. What did you see this season as? Because I know that you're very competitive, and I know that you're an extremely focused coach, an organized coach. You're someone who, when the NCAA Division II didn't see the value of LeMoyne, you were very clear about the value that's there and what you needed to do and why this team is a postseason team. And looking in these last few years alone, I think the NCAA tournament D2 for LeMoyne is a place that you should be, whether or not the NCAA saw that. So knowing how competitive you are, knowing what you've done to build this program, and having last year celebrating 30 years for you this year, being as competitive as you are and as focused as you are, how did you handle this season? How did you look at this season, knowing that it is a transition, it is a move, but you're a coach that I think if there's times, Liz, where I honestly think you'd pick up the stick and go back on the field. So,
Yeah, yeah. I think right, you say, how does it feel? I'm like, it's frustrating because it's like I wish I could have done more, but at the same time, right, we had 3 months essentially to get a schedule together, and to kind of get everybody to transition. So, as much as I would have loved to win more, and I think our players would have loved to win more, we have to look back and say, hey, the fact that we didn't just win one game this year is a pretty big deal. And I think that's where I kind of go back to is that we could only do so much in the amount of time we had when the announcement was made, and then getting everyone to buy in. And then I think it was a month in between the NEC when we announced we were transitioning, and then the NEC saying we could do postseason. I mean, for almost a month, couple weeks at least, it was like, are we going to play postseason? Are we not? Right. So mindset stuff there had to change pretty quickly. So I think overall, as much as I'm competitive, I'm frustrated that we didn't win a little bit more. I was really pleased. I think to go 500 in a transition year on short notice and to be able to host a playoff game. And, again, we didn't get that win, but to be in the playoff seedings, third place. I mean, that's huge for our program. It's huge for recruiting too, moving forward. That's what we're playing for right now. So, I'm happy with the success, never satisfied, right? I think that's every coach's kind of answer there. There's always something more you think you could have done or that we could have changed. But overall, I'm happy with what we did, in the amount of time that we were given. And the way the girls competed and both on and off the field. I mentioned we had the awards yesterday and we had 3 academic awards. I think track and field probably had the same with us, but I think to have 3 of our players earn such a high academic award and compete at this level with the travel schedule we had and all the adjustments, I mean, that's the stuff that really makes you proud.
Yeah, yeah, and like you said, I mean, everybody working through this transition, you included, and on a short window, being able to respond the way that they did in the classroom, the way that they did on the field, the way that this entire program did here in this Dolphin Dive with Liz Beville, LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach. And when you look at the 9-9 record, we also look at the fact that you were 8-2 in the conference. Like you said, being in the top 3, an 8-2 record, first time ever in the NEC, and at home 6-2, still taking care of Ted Grant Field. I think those are, when we talk about things to build on this foundation as this team steps forward, I think an 8-2 start to conference play and a 6-2 record of being at home and taking care of Ted Grant, I'm sure that those are things that you can ring the bell on as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those are huge. We talk about protecting the home turf every home game, and I think the girls did a phenomenal job with that. And now we got to learn how to win on the road, but we're gonna get there, right? I know they want more than that, and that was something that was brought up. It was identified, and so we don't keep things a secret, right? We're not gonna not acknowledge things, and it's just the level, how satisfied are our players with losing on the road or just winning at home. So I think it's just, again, it's part of that buy-in piece of it, of just getting that mindset shift a little bit changed moving forward. But it was a great start and great way to set a standard and set an expectation, I think, for us this year of what we want to continue for next year.
You said you had a minimal amount of time, 3 months, to get things ready once the decision was made with scheduling and with all of that. Now that you have a season under your belt and you have all of this time, you have a true off season here, as you put the schedule together, as you recruit and look forward, what does this look like for the team stepping into next season? The fact that you have a true off season and a true opportunity to kind of maybe feel more like yourself in scheduling and recruiting and travel and getting things together and figuring out what you need to do. What does it look like as we go forward now that there is more time to plan and more time to set things the way that you want to have them set?
So I think from a schedule standpoint, we're always going to be playing the teams around us and teams that are competitive in the central New York area. So that's not really going to change too much. I think we had some great competition this year, and love getting some of the America East, very competitive conference, and was fun to play UVM and Albany, looking for scrimmage stuff with Binghamton next year, is something that we're looking for. So I think it's fun to play these non-conference games because it makes us better. And I think next year there's more of that mindset of, hey, this is what we didn't do well last year against these teams. This is what we can do moving forward. So those conversations just happen a lot sooner now.
Yeah.
Those are things that the girls will be talking about over the summer, and we'll talk about those a little bit more in the fall, because we really didn't even talk about our non-conference schedule in the fall at all. So I think those are big from scheduling. That's going to be pretty consistent with, I think, what you saw. Maybe get a few more home games this next year, but that'll be pretty consistent in terms of who we're playing year in and year out. And then I think from a preparation, you kind of talked about it with recruiting. We're just a little bit more organized now of what we're looking for and what our needs are moving forward. We're team-wise, getting, I think we're talking about doing like a little book club and some of the mindset stuff, right? I think that's just something we have to continue to evolve at this level. So that's something we're looking into a little bit, of just doing some more prep work during the summer, all within compliance rules, I will say too, right? Not the mandatory. I don't want to get myself in trouble there, but just I think it's getting the players to do it on their own, right? And kind of buy into what needs to be done. We talked about the lifting earlier. Like, that's just something we need to be bigger, faster, stronger, right? If we want to keep competing at this level. So
Yeah.
that I think will change for our players in terms of their preparation this year. And then the fall, hopefully we amp that up a little bit too, of just the level of play, and just getting into that a little bit sooner. I think it took us kind of through preseason to get to where we felt like, hey, we can be competitive. So trying to identify what our needs are in the fall, where we need to fix things, what we continue doing really well, and try to get those to happen sooner in the fall, I think is going to be big for us.
Yeah, and like you said, looking at that non-conference, playing teams around you, playing those teams in the state of New York, and within the America East, like you said, the competition that's there, and those teams not too far away. So looking to see them on the schedule, is there anybody that you'd like to put on the schedule that wasn't on this year's schedule?
We're looking at just a couple programs more in the Northeast area. I think our spring break aligns. We're playing at Stonehill, so maybe a CAA team, maybe a different America East team. So we're looking at a couple different programs, and I think for me right now, it's trying to do a little bit of everybody, just to see where we really can kind of level up and who we can compete against, right? So
Yeah.
again, we're going to keep playing a lot of the MAC schools. We'll play some of these America East schools. Colgate, I think we've got them locked in. So some of the Patriot League. So just trying to figure out where we can kind of compete and feel good, and try to really walk away with a win. That's the big thing, right? We don't want to go 1-8 or 6, whatever it was in our non-conference next year. We really want to try to get a couple more wins in that. And I think it's, the nice part is, again, right, those games, they're great and they matter, obviously, but we are really focused on our conference schedule. So trying to give the student athletes some new experiences and see some new teams, that's a little bit of the priority.
I want to hit the rapid fire thing here for a second and get them to get to know you a little bit better here in the community and beyond. Speaking here with Liz Beville, but before we do that, one final note: your coaching staff this season: Riley Donahue, Sarah Goodwin, Adriana Nojame. Just what you can say about what they meant to you and how this transition was eased by having a leadership council, so to speak, that you can go to and work with.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of work, right? To manage a team and to go through this. So big kudos to my staff. I think that they all played their roles really nicely and stepped up where we needed it. And, having Coach Donahue be a full-time this year was massive for our program and just what she was able to provide. And, the individual sessions and work that she put in with our student athletes was huge. And, kind of took that pressure off me to stay up more on top of things, be a little bit more organized. And then, Coach Goodwin and Coach No James, just helping out with all those little things, food orders, gear, social media, all the little stuff that I really am happy to hand off to them. So, a lot of hands make light work, and I give them, again, a lot of kudos, because we couldn't have made it through the season feeling this good at the end of it, if we didn't have a great staff.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and I'm sure they do as well. So here on Dolphin Dive with Liz Beville, LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse head coach, to tie things up here in a bow this morning on Wake Up Call during Dolphin time, to have a little bit of rapid fire. Liz, you can fire away first, whatever question you have, and could be about literally anything.
Okay. I don't think I've asked you this. Favorite sport? How about this? Favorite sport to watch, favorite sport to play?
Okay. Favorite sport to watch? Probably football.
Okay.
Probably football. I played basketball my whole life. I also have an appreciation for soccer. I will say in high school at Christian Brothers Academy, during one of our gym classes, or maybe it was a series of them, I distinctly remember one of them when they had us all pick up lacrosse sticks, whether you had played or not, and get out there and do it. So I do think that I can cradle the ball, and I think that I can run. As far as the precision of teams and the incredible, My cousins Sam and Fran, incredible
Mhm.
lacrosse players, and Franny's it's Stony Brook, and they just won the CAA, and I
Yep.
mean she is absolutely. I don't know how she does the things that she does. I don't know how Sam did it either. So I can say I have a massive appreciation for it. And basketball, my favorite to play, but being in that gym class and picking up that lacrosse stick and going, okay, I can do this for like 5 minutes, or maybe I can figure this out for a little while. What is done on the field, I think if people don't get it, I hope that they go to a game and understand how incredibly unique and
Mhm.
special and historic to the
Yep.
Northeast and the state of New York that lacrosse
Yeah.
is. So I can honestly say I treat Franny like a little sister, and watching the sport is it's intense. She's intense.
Yeah.
And so I would definitely say that I have a lot of respect for it, even though I didn't necessarily grow up with it.
Awesome.
My question for you, Liz. Okay, so if not lacrosse, what sport, if you could be playing one right now as a pro, what
Mhm.
sport would it be and why?
Oh. I still have to go to my first love, which is basketball. I'm just I watched so much of the women's stuff this year. Obviously, Caitlin Clark was amazing and fun to watch, and I watched the draft for the first time this year. And
Yeah.
I think that was like my first kind of sport I really fell in love with before lacrosse, actually. So I have to go with basketball. I think gymnastics would be really cool too, but I'm not very flexible, so couldn't do half of the stuff that they do. But I just love the competitiveness and the team. Team sports are definitely where I thrive and love. So I'll go basketball on that.
Yeah, yeah. No, basketball, Caitlin Clark, extremely, I mean, she was amazing in her career in general, but this year, last year, when a lot of people were
Yeah,
paying attention, and then watching the draft. I'm just happy that the draft is on television, and I'm happy that the
yeah,
games are on television because
yep,
you know this, and I know this. Growing up, there were no NCAA tournament women's games on TV until you got to the championship.
yeah,
So the fact that they're on
yeah,
TV now and you can
yeah.
actually see the road is a special thing. What's your second one
It's
for me?
huge. Yeah, and side note on that too. I mean, even this weekend for the D1 women's games that kick off on Friday, having staggered start times finally this year.
Yeah.
So you're just seeing the progress in all women's sports. It's really fun to be part of it and to be watching it happen kind of live time right now.
Yeah, and to me, it's necessary, right? What's the point of having a bunch of postseason games at the same time so that nobody can pay attention to what's going on around the country? You have to literally just pick one thing and stay focused there, as opposed to actually getting to see the development, or in the case of if you want to go to a game and you're going to be traveling maybe close distance, you want to be able to watch the other one. So I definitely can say that this Friday, there's family stuff on the schedule with Franny and her team, and
Yeah.
some other things that are out there. So I can appreciate the fact that they're finally. I mean, I started my career covering women's athletics, so it's nice to see that 20 years later, 21 years later, the world is starting to catch up here in America, which is good.
Yeah.
What's your second one for me?
Mm, favorite meal of the day: breakfast, lunch, or dinner?
I am a breakfast for dinner guy, so I got to say
Okay.
breakfast. I think breakfast
Okay.
is, I think, eggs, bacon, homemade pancakes, French toast. I don't think you
Yep.
can go wrong at any point of the day with breakfast.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
My one for you, and we'll get one more in after this. My second one for you, Liz. Okay, let's stick with food. What's the one food you can't live without? And then what's the food that you'll never try again?
Um, so pizza and tacos both have my heart. It's very hard to choose one of those, but I need either one of those in my life. And then I am not a peanut butter fan. I don't like it at all. I know I'm weird. I know, but I just don't like it. And I could live my whole life and not have it. And I have unfortunately tried it on several different occasions, sometimes accidentally, like grabbing a peanut butter cookie I thought was like a sugar cookie or snickerdoodle, and
Yeah.
I had to spit it out. So yeah, I'm not peanut butter. I'm good without, but I need my pizza or tacos in my life.
Yeah, pizza and tacos are the correct answer, believe it or
Yeah.
not. And
Yep.
peanut butter, yeah. I think even if you like peanut butter cookies always get thrown out.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's your last one for me?
All right. Now I'm on a food train here.
Okay.
Favorite type of fry, like a French fry. Like there's sweet potato, there's waffle, there's shoestring,
There,
big cut.
so, so I work with Ma and Pa's, and they have the Spud Shack, and we were just out at the Syracuse Crawfish Festival, and they do ribbon fries, and they do all
Yeah.
different kinds of fries. So I really like their stuff. I would have to say, I'd be lying if I didn't say this, and I cannot tell a lie. Curly fries.
I was just thinking about those. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was a Roy Rogers back in the day when the Thruway had Roy Rogers and they were nowhere else. Roy Rogers on the Thruway. I believe that I couldn't have dreamt this. They had curly fries and they had barbecued curly fries. So they
Oh,
were like
funny.
barbecued seasoned. They kind of look like orange. The barbecued curly fries. If I had known that day that that was the last day I was going to have them at like 13 years old or whatever, I would have grabbed all of them. But I will
Yeah.
say barbecued curly fries.
Fair.
All right, like we're gonna stick with food since I'm just gonna stay hungry in the studio today.
Uh,
So, all right, Liz, let's see here. This is not my question, but do you cook?
on occasion.
Okay, all right. So I was gonna say favorite meal to make. Okay, how about this? Favorite home cooked meal? Who makes it, and what is that meal that you just can't live without home cooked?
Oh. I'm gonna go. I mean, I think any like Sunday kind of dinner at my grandma's, but her meatballs, like I can't eat meatballs anywhere else.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing that comes to mind is like it's something that I'm not great at cooking myself, and you don't get that same taste at a restaurant, and she's Italian through and through, so I'd have to say, probably some sort of grandma's cooking, and the meatballs are, I know not a meal, but part of a meal that come to mind of I need those, and those they don't a restaurant doesn't do justice.
No, grandma's meatballs, again, the correct answer. You cannot find them anywhere else, and I am a meatball snob as well. If they're not made by my grandmothers, are both in heaven, but if
Yeah,
not by my grandma's or my mom,
right.
it's probably a hard pass. And my grandmother used to put hers in, she used to put them in the stove, in the oven and let them bake a little, and then she'd
Hmm.
take them out and put them on a stick. They tasted fantastic without sauce on them.
Yeah.
So
Yep, that's when you know they're good. When you eat them with or without the sauce, that's when they're good.
Liz Beville making us all hungry here this morning on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the Dolphin Dive. Please make sure that you support in any way, shape, and form LeMoyne Dolphins athletics and LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse team, coming off of a strong showing in their return to Division One in this new era in Division One. Thanks to you, the student athletes, your coaching staff, Liz, and we'll be talking soon. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing on the Heights, and thank you for being a part of LeMoyne's history.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, take care. Have a good day.
Bye.
See you. That coming from Liz Beville here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. Proud to be here with you. Always happy to be inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Who wouldn't want to be inside of the Heritage Hill Studios, to be completely honest? I mean, you got Pompey with the Brew House, and you have Heritage Hill North that just came to fruition with us a week ago today. So I'm going to clap that up. Happy 1 week grand opening anniversary. They soft opened for a couple weeks before, so they've been in our community, Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse. So make sure you go out and check out Heritage Hill. And when you're going to and from in the airport at Syracuse Hancock International Airport. You can go to Palladino Farms in the airport. So a lot of great ways to connect with Heritage Hill and Palladino Farms. And as you can see behind me, the proud studio partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So this Dolphin Dive brought to you inside the Heritage Hill Studios, featuring Liz Beville, and an awesome conversation. Honestly, looking at this team, 9-9 in their first season in Division One, with LeMoyne being a fully fledged Division One institution. Obviously, women's lacrosse has some history at the Division One level in the MAAC, and now being in Division One, going 9-9 in Liz Beville's first season in NCAA Division One as a head coach, and going 8-2 in the conference in their first time ever in the NEC, and going 6-2 at home at Ted Grant Field is huge. And getting those home games was huge, because on the men's lacrosse side, they only had 2 home games. So getting some home games, very awesome. And like Liz said, maybe some more in the future. Playing the America East in non-conference, playing the New York State schools, continuing to do that non-conference, and maybe a CAA school. So good to know what's coming up here on the schedule, and good to know that Liz is the leader over there with the LeMoyne Dolphins women's lacrosse team, as well as her staff and the student athletes. I want to thank them all for the work that they did this season, and for the amazing start that they had, defeating Cal, the University of Cal, on site right here in Syracuse, New York. So big time shout out to the amazing women's lacrosse team at LeMoyne and LeMoyne College in general. And like I said, much appreciation for the work that they've all done to navigate through this season and end in the top 3 in the NEC and have a 500 record from Division 2 to Division 1, go 500. That's huge. And it says a lot about what coaches tell me all the time at LeMoyne, and what hopefully you've come to know over the years, is that LeMoyne doesn't recruit D2. They weren't focused D2. Oh, this is D2. They recruited people that were going to be good in the classroom, people that were going to be good on the field, good on the court, good on the track, good in the pool. And they wanted good people, hard workers in and out of the classroom, in and out of their sport. And I think it's a true testament to LeMoyne College that when I talk about soccer, when I speak about lacrosse, when I speak about swimming and diving, basketball, volleyball, you name it, so on and so forth, baseball, softball, cross country, track and field. You know, when we get into all of these different pieces here of LeMoyne College and the student athlete experience, there's consistency. There's consistency in the people that are brought in. And looking at the golf teams, looking at the tennis teams as well. You know, there's a type of human being that you find on campus a lot at LeMoyne. And when it happens multiple times, it's not a mistake and it's not a coincidence. These coaches have worked tirelessly. I've been around them in Division 2. I've been around them in Division 1. They continue to give it's not like I saw these coaches go, oh, okay, we got to now, we got to work hard or do this. It's these coaches have worked hard. There's a lot of good coaches on the Heights, and there's a lot of good student athletes on the Heights. And in almost 3 years of working as the multimedia marketing partner of LeMoyne College, it has been such an honor and such a privilege for me to work alongside wonderful people. And that starts at the top with President Dr. Linda Lemura, and obviously so much time spent with Athletics Director Bob Beretta. And I value all that time with Linda, with Bob, with Pete DeLaura, with the people I've gotten to meet from the board, with the board in general, and those that I'm excited to meet, to the alumni that I've been around, and the current student athletes and the coaches. I hope they know how much they're appreciated. I tell them all the time, but I hope that they know. And Liz being one of those people that I'm so proud of and so happy for. And, this team has student athletes on it that I covered in high school in Central and Upstate New York. So, getting to see them flourish and getting to see, student athletes from all over, just come to these teams like women's lacrosse and have fun and build these friendships, build these bonds that are going to last forever. These people are going to be in your wedding. These people are going to, like Liz talked about, they're going to be in your book club. They're going to go have breakfast with you. They're going to go on trips with you. They're going to be there for you. When it's raining, they're going to be there for you when it's sunny. And the college experience is something that I think everybody should get, because when you don't have it, you miss it. I miss college to this day. I graduated in 2007. I still miss it 17 years later. I miss being able to open my door and 2 doors down, John and Steve. And, a 2-minute walk away, 3-minute walk away, digital media and broadcasting building. Then the gym that I used to do MU courtside in. Then the gym that they built and put in all of those things so that we could continue to do MU courtside. I think about Sister John Michelle Southwick and everything we did with campus ministry, and walk into her office and the warmth that she created, that she had, that she continues to have. And I think about the chapel and honoring the life of my friend Sarah Beth George, and that being the day I started my friendship with Ross, who you've seen and heard of so many times on the show. College is a time to really get to know yourself and to really challenge yourself. So for those of you that are wondering, like, should I go to college? What's the point? I got to pay all this money. I'm just going to get a job, blah, blah, blah. When I was growing up as a kid, it wasn't if you go to college. It was you go to college. You go to college. You continue your education. And my logo, that sun rising out of the coffee cup, that doesn't happen that way if I didn't go to college. Because my graphic designer is John Grenquist. 2 doors down from me, Madonna Hall, freshman year. What's up? So, second floor. I was like, Quincy. But I'm thinking about New Girl when he's naming places where I'm like, Madonna Hall, second floor. What's up? The guys could appreciate that. But college, if you let it, it changes you for the better. If you let it, it helps you to discover who you are at your breaking point. Because you will have a breaking point in college. You will. You're studying, you're pulling an all-nighter, you're playing a sport, you're traveling, you go through a breakup, you're away from family, whatever. But it commands you to really figure out who you are. And it's a great experience. So I applaud Liz, as we talked this morning, to keep going back to their students first. Their students first, and look at how well they did in the classroom. We just had our award ceremony. Look at how successful they were. And that's huge. So, I mean, I love LeMoyne. I do. And I'm proud of LeMoyne. My dad went there. And it was the first school I visited. And I could tell being on campus how much it meant to my dad. And to bring my dad on campus for the announcement of this historic moment for Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media as a whole, to say, hey, Dad, my exclusive multimedia marketing partner is LeMoyne. This is the beginning of an era. And that's led to so many other pieces. And now to be here in year 3, it was like the snap of a finger, and we're in year 3. But I love the school, and the caliber of human being is much appreciated. So shout out to LeMoyne. Thank you for entrusting me with your stories, and thank you to people like Liz today, spending ample time talking about something she loves and the team that she leads. It means a lot and it goes a long way. And I really honestly, from my heart, can't say enough, because these coaches and these student athletes, D2, D3, D1, JUCO, what doesn't matter. I've been around it all. When you're around people that fight and you're around people that work and you're around people that really care, it means a lot. So thank you. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Coming up in just a few minutes in hour number 2, my man Jay Bird's joining the show. Jason Lucas of the sports and entertainment world. He'll catch us up on where he's been traveling and what he's been doing lately. And we'll get into the NFL, the draft, as we continue to discuss what's come off of this NFL draft. And we'll get into the NFL offseason moves, some of his predictions, some of my predictions, all here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com. And Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Heritage Hill, as you know, is in Pompey. You can find them at the Brew House out in Pompey with the beautiful rolling hills and awesome majesty of central and upstate New York. And then you can find them in the heart of the hustle and bustle as well at Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. Heritage Hill, the proud, exclusive studio partner of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I am here hanging out where sports meets life on this show with you on Wake Up Call every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on internet streaming radio on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. With that being said, about time to go picture in picture with my guy here, a brother, a family member, somebody that I appreciate more than I can describe to any one of you, and that is Mr. Jason Lucas, who joins me here where sports meets life. And Jason of the sports and entertainment world coming into the broadcast here. And we're going to brighten up Jason a little bit here. Looks like a cloudy day out there in Florida right now, but I know it's not. But, you know, good old Florida, missing Florida. But I'm happy that we have the opportunity to speak with Jay Bird and have some fun here with Mr. Lucas as we get set on a lot of things going on in the NFL world and the fact that the NFL is getting closer and closer to the 2024-25 season. A week from today, on May 15th, the NFL schedule set to be released from what we're hearing. So very excited about that. Jason Lucas here to talk with me on the 2024 NFL Draft, the NFL offseason, and the upcoming NFL schedule. Mr. Bird of Jason, how are you?
Doing great, Dan. It's 94 out today, so it's like record highs here in Florida. So
yeah,
looking forward to going outside later.
Yeah, no, I mean the weather. Listen, it's really nice here today. It's sunny, and I got see. My thing is there's a certain weather that I like. I like 70, 75. At night it cools down, shorts, sweatshirt. I like the shorts, sweatshirt weather. I'm a fall baby. So that's what I like. But I will be back down in Florida very soon, within the next couple of weeks. So we're going to have to figure something out, like I said, for us to actually get to see each other. Coming down with Mom. My mom was like, I want to sit. I want to relax. I'm like, that's totally fine, Mom. But I got to see Jay Bird. So, you know, we're going to work some things out and have some fun here. And obviously, I'm looking forward to going back to my second home here very shortly. So, Jason, you made some predictions, and your predictions ended up being right. And I like to call out when predictions are correct, because when you get predictions right, people bury them. And then when you get them wrong, people talk about it. So, like, let's celebrate. On Wake Up Call, we do things called being positive. I know it's crazy in the world of media, but that's what we do. So what predictions did you get right?
Yeah, I'd say that Jaden Daniels one right off the top, because Drake May is he's a good player. I don't know if the Mac Jones experience was too much for the Patriots.
Yeah.
To go right back to a guy wearing number 10 and looks a lot like Mac, but maybe a little bit more get out of the pocket a little better and do a better job than Mac Jones did. Maybe be a little bit more accurate, not get ran out of town. So we hope the best for Drake May. But yeah, Jaden Daniels, I thought was the best prospect, and Caleb Williams, hell of an arm, goes first to the Bears, and they dropped in there at 9 with Roma Dunze too. So Bears looking pretty good too.
Yeah, I changed my thoughts over time. I was big on Drake May, and then I was going back and forth between him and Jaden Daniels. And the thing is, when I'm doing the draft, I'm obviously making decisions on this draft based on who I think they're going to take. Not necessarily who I'm going to take, but who they're going to take. So I had Caleb Williams number 1 overall because I didn't think that there was a world where that wasn't going to happen. And I mean, I saw Caleb play live. I watched him play live. I was there at the Cotton Bowl a couple seasons ago, and I want to make a note of somebody that beat him, and it's right here on my Gem Mint 10 out of 10 PSA card of Mr. Michael Pratt and Tulane in the Green Wave, baby. The Green Wave.
Roll Wave.
Yes, Roll Wave. And they defeated USC and Caleb Williams in a shootout. Offense, defense, and special teams clicking like crazy. Goal line stance, just a lot of great things going on with this team, and special teams, who just doesn't get a lot of credit. They did a fantastic job in this game. So Caleb Williams, as much as I watched him live and I saw that this guy's got some really incredible talent, I'm not sold on him.
No.
But Jaden Daniels, who I didn't watch, he was probably the one that I watched maybe the least of. And Jaden Daniels, the more I watched him, when I first watched him, I was like, those short passes, the mid-range, how is he with that? And then the more I watched, the more I saw, the more I was like, damn, Washington needs to get this guy because Caleb Williams is going to go to the Bears. And then I put Drake May with New England because I thought that's where they would go. I had J.J. McCarthy going to the Vikings no matter what, whether it was trade up to 4, stay at 11, 10, whatever. And I had Bo Nix going to Denver. The only pick that I did not have correct in the first round of the 6 quarterbacks taken in the first 12 picks, never happened before in NFL history. 6 quarterbacks taken first round in 1983, but not 6 in the first 12. The only one I had wrong was the one the world had wrong.
Yeah.
Michael Penix Jr. to the Falcons. What did you think about that, Jay? You've been in front offices. You've been around professional teams. You have seen the world of this business from the inside. You bring in Kirk Cousins from Minnesota. You give him a 4-year, $180 million contract, $100 million guaranteed. So that breaks down brass tacks to $25 million a year if he doesn't make the other $80 million. And then you take the 8th overall pick after bringing in that quarterback to help you get the ball to Drake London and Kyle Pitts, to help you with the backfield that already features 2 strong guys in Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. Why would you draft a quarterback 8th overall when you just brought in a $100 million quarterback who's had a ton of experience?
Well, I guess the kid will have some time to sit and watch, which they don't really do these days in the NFL. If you're taking a quarterback in the first round, it's his job right off the bat. Usually they don't let them hold the clipboard. So maybe this could be a good situation for Michael Penix Jr. to come in, hold the clipboard this year for the most part, maybe even the first 7-8 weeks. Who knows? Yeah. As long as Kirk Cousins stays hot there, because if he doesn't, Michael Penix Jr. is going to be sitting right there ready to go. And for Atlanta, I think it's an exciting move for a town that, struggles. They struggle to draw. They don't sell out there very often. So Michael Penix Jr. could be a player that can move the needle and get some tickets sold there as well. So maybe lightning could strike twice in Atlanta with the Michael quarterbacks.
Yeah, and the thing about Michael Penix is I like him. I like him. I don't understand going that high for a quarterback when you're Atlanta. I had them taking Dallas Turner, the edge rusher, and there was something out there that maybe allegedly they were trying to go back in and get him, but back in the first round. But ultimately he goes to Minnesota, who was trading all over the draft, which I had them trading in the first round, and they did exactly that. But Michael Penix, for me, I mean, as it looks right now, Jason, it's the thought that he's going to sit, that he's going to sit and he's going to have to just learn from Kirk Cousins and go from there. I mean, is this going to be a true quarterback competition? I think any year, whoever your team is, whoever you got coming back, I think it's always healthy to have competition. I wouldn't want somebody to come in and be like, well, I'm the starting quarterback. You're the rookie. I'm going to mail this in. I want you to feel like you could maybe lose your job here with Michael Penix. So I want you to push yourself, Kirk. But, I like Kirk Cousins. I think I like him more than maybe a lot of people around the country have. I've given him more respect, I think. And when Atlanta brought him in, I said, okay, well, guess what? If he doesn't get the ball to Kyle Pitts is leaving. There's no way that this go-gator is going to be hanging around Atlanta country and just sitting in Georgia for multiple seasons getting not used. Kyle Pitts is a weapon. He's a tight end, but he's Atlanta's best receiver. So they have the talent. They have no excuses. Like I said, Tyler Algier, Bijan Robinson, Drake London, Kyle Pitts. There's no excuse. Now, I like Michael Penix. I think as a person too. So I'm excited to see, what he could bring to the table. And if he does wait, and like you said, this is a true old-fashioned, we're going to see how you do, and we're going to sit you, and you're going to have to learn for the next couple of years. The only other team that I know really dedicated themselves to this in recent history was Green Bay. So it'll be interesting to see that. Now, my question back to you is, of the 6 quarterbacks taken, rank them as to who you think is immediately going to be positively effective to the one that you got the most questions on, and then I'll do the same.
Jaden Daniels is my guy. That's right off the rip. I think he's going to make Washington better.
Okay.
If Penix was going to play, I would say Penix, believe it or not. If he was going to play, I'd put him right behind him because I think he's a great prospect too, and it's just going to take time now. Caleb Williams, I'll have to go with that too because he's going to play with some weapons there. So I think the Bears are going to be better right off the rip with him. Drake May, I am not really happy to have him in my division as a Dolphins fan. So Drake May is going to be 3.
Okay.
Most questions, I'd say JJ McCarthy there he'd be my 4 with the Vikings. That's most questions for sure.
Yeah.
And Bo Nix as well with that Broncos offense that struggled last year. They were a big-time struggle bus. So does Bo Nix come in and improve things over what Russell Wilson was doing? Or is it just going to be the same old story?
Yeah.
And you're going to see coaches getting fired there in Denver.
Yeah. So yours would be Jaden, Caleb, if Michael doesn't play, then Drake, then JJ and Bo. Mine is going to be based on if Michael Penix is sitting as well. I'm going to say Jaden. I'll agree with you. I feel best about him. I think Washington finally has some excitement. Now, Terry McLaurin, there's guys that have been exciting on the offense, but I think quarterback-wise, Washington is going to be selling some tickets. I think there's going to be some new Washington fans. I think that there's going to be some Baton Rouge people that are putting on some Commander Maroon. And
100%.
What'd you say?
100%.
Yeah, so I think there's going to be some love there. And might be the first time that Louisiana and the nation's capital agreed in recent history. But it'll be nice to see that. I don't know what the politics are down in LSU. I'm not a political guy. I said I might run for president someday, not because I love politics, but because I actually love people. So I'm going to say Jaden Daniels first. And then second, I honestly think Bo Nix is going to do some cool things. I do. I think that he's going to surprise some people. So I'm going to dark horse Bo Nix too. Then I'm going to put Caleb Williams. Then I'm going to put Drake May. And then I'm going to put JJ McCarthy. I had originally thought McCarthy and Bo similar, but I mean, Jaden I'm high on. Bo I feel good about. And I might be the only person on the planet besides Bo and his family that's saying Bo too, but I'm going to say Bo. And then I'm going to say Caleb. I think that Caleb is I think he's very talented. And watching him play when you're in the arena, it's nuts. But if any of this alleged, and I hope it's not, if there's any of this like off the field dramatic, I'm putting the drama in. And if the drama is involved, then that's where I'm like, okay, can you be a leader if you're egocentric type of thing? So I think that I'm going to put Caleb 3 just because I want to see how he is as a leader overall. And then, I want to see how they all are. But Caleb, I got a few questions. Then I'd put Drake, and then I put J.J. McCarthy. So similar, but I think Bo Nix is, listen, Denver hasn't had a good quarterback since Tim Tebow and Peyton Manning before that. So literally, they have not had a good quarterback since Tim Tebow. And to everybody that hates on Tim Tebow, he helped beat the defending Super Bowl champion Pittsburgh Steelers. And, he did a dink and dunk pass, Dan. He threw a 3-yard pass to Demaryius Thomas, and he went 88 yards, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Tom Brady made his life on throwing dink and dunks and letting guys run. So I don't know why Tim gets so much hate. I think it's because he believes in God, and when people believe in God so vehemently and so passionately and so naturally, I think it makes some people uncomfortable. And, Tim believes in God, I believe in God, and he doesn't bend the knee to do a Tebow, he bends the knee to do a prayer. So let's remember that as well. So, I think Bo Nix is going to be the best thing that Denver's had since there are 372 quarterbacks between Tim Tebow and now. And I feel good about Bo Nix, man. I do. And he's got Troy Franklin. He's got a little bit of a safety blanket there, bringing another Oregon guy in. What do you think? Can I hear you? Can you hear me?
Oh,
yeah.
I thought I couldn't hear you for a second.
Okay.
No, I think Jerry Jeudy leaving town there is a big thing too.
Yeah.
I think that was a big weapon they had and let him go. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Obviously that's you're in the division with Kansas City, so you see them twice a year.
Yeah.
They got to step up their game to even compete in that division. It'll be interesting to see what they do if they've improved. Obviously, I sat through a game last year where Denver lost 50-20 or 70-20.
Yeah.
By 50 points. So, I hope for the sake of the Broncos fan that sat next to me in Miami that day that they're better, because he said that he pays what I pay per season per game there in Denver.
That's insane.
Yeah, he has club level seats, but
yeah,
still, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, especially because Miami and the weather and a
lot of money to suck.
Yeah, and the views of Miami on those wonderful beaches, and of course I'm talking about the seagulls. They're beautiful, but when we look at the I miss the beach. So the quarterback wise, that's how we got him going into the season. I've been going down the line, taking a look at new additions to each team, and I started yesterday. I went Arizona to Green Bay, so I'm going to crash course this thing, and then we'll get into the rest of them. And after I crash course it here, any notes you want to make, Jay Bird, I'll hand it to you here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Desmond Ridder gets added to the Arizona Cardinals. Atlanta gave up on him real fast after a couple seasons. I covered him at Cincinnati, covered Clayton Tune at Houston. They're both backing up Kyler Murray. Trey Benson of FSU is brought in to help out James Conner, and Marvin Harrison Jr. is there to help out Michael Wilson. So that's a look at Arizona with their new additions here. I'm going to, like I said, I'll go through these new additions and then have Jason kind of give his notes overall here. So Arizona, just kind of note if any of these stick out to you, Jay. But Arizona making a lot of changes. Atlanta, we talked about not making a ton of changes as far as weapon-wise go. Darnell Mooney, who I covered at Tulane. The Ravens got better. I don't know why the NFL let this happen, but kudos to the Ravens. They brought in Derrick Henry to help out Lamar Jackson, and their receiving group is Zay Flowers, and then it's Zay Flowers, and then it's Zay Flowers. So we'll see what else, who can step up. Is it Rashad Bateman? They have the best 1-2 punch in the NFL at tight end, in my opinion, next to the Buffalo Bills. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in Baltimore, and then heading off to Buffalo. Buffalo's got that 1-2 punch back with Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox, and Buffalo has brought in Keon Coleman, and they brought in Curtis Samuel and Chase Claypool to help out Khalil Shakir. They no longer have Gabe Davis, shout out to the Jaguars in UCF country, and they don't have Stephon Diggs anymore. So they don't have a guy who I liked covering in college, and they don't have a guy who seemingly is a drama queen. So Buffalo is trying to figure out who their receiving core is going to be, and they go and get a running back, Ray Davis here, to help out James Cook. That's a look at Buffalo's notes. And then to go to Carolina Panthers, the Carolina Panthers brought in Jonathan Brooks, drafting him. He could take over as the number one guy. I always thought Chuba Hubbard was an accent to what the running back was doing, whoever the top guy was, that he was going to be that other piece. So I think that Jonathan Brooks could take over here. Miles Sanders still on the team. Deontay Johnson comes in. They love the young running back or young wide receiver. Xavier Legette, drafted this year. Jonathan Mingo, drafted last year. Terrace Marshall Jr., drafted before that. All these young guys trying to figure it out in Carolina with Bryce Young. Hopefully somebody can block for Bryce, and hopefully Carolina can figure out how to keep a head coach for more than less than a year, 10 months, 11 months. We'll see. Chicago brings in DeAndre Swift. He was a Lion, then he was an Eagle. Now, I didn't think this guy would be a journeyman, but now he's on Chicago. Keenan Allen comes in. Roma Dunze comes in with quarterback Caleb Williams to try and change this offense seemingly overnight with the additions that they've made. And then the Cincinnati Bengals, they don't have Joe Mixon anymore. They have Zach Moss, who was a Bill, and then he moved on from there, and I think Houston, and now he's in this Cincinnati realm now. Chase Brown, who was drafted last year. T. Higgins, we'll see. Maybe T. Higgins signs his franchise tag. Maybe T. Higgins gets a new contract. Maybe T. Higgins sits out training camp and then gets a new contract. I think that's, if I had to put my money on something right now, it would be that T. Higgins does the I'm not coming to training camp, and they say we're going to bill you, and he says, yeah, okay, and then they end up signing a contract to make sure they lock him in. Cleveland Browns actually didn't change much. Cleveland Browns, they brought in Jerry Jeudy, but besides that, running backs are similar. They brought in, how about this? Their quarterback room features two ACC guys that have both been in trouble. Deshaun Watson for massages and Famous Jameis for crab legs. Could you imagine if someone massaged you with a crab leg and how that could connect in the community? But that's what we have in Cleveland. Maybe that's a new massage. Maybe instead of hands, they grab crab legs and they just run them on your back, a little scratch on your back with some crab legs. Maybe that's how Deshaun stays out of trouble, is instead of going to a massage parlor, he just asks Famous Jameis to help him out. Who knows? I know it's dirty. I created that thought, and I apologize for it. They didn't really change anything with their receiving crew, but they're going to have to figure out their running back room, as I'm not really sold on what the Cowboys have. And then the Denver Broncos, we talked about Bo Nix, Troy Franklin coming in from Oregon. Cortland Sutton is back. And they drafted Esteem from Notre Dame. Audric Esteem, I covered him with the Fighting Irish, and now he's backing up Javonte Williams, who will hopefully, God willing, stay healthy, another guy that I covered in college. The Detroit Lions didn't change much. They're bringing back a great 1-2 punch, and David Montgomery continues to roll well. Jamison Williams is going to attempt to start a season. He's been injured and he's been suspended. Now we're going to see if he will actually start his third year on day one. Hopefully he will. Sam Laporta, love that guy. Big fan of Sam Laporta, the tight end of Detroit, and definitely excited to watch him. And then Green Bay was the last part of this crash course up to this point. Josh Jacobs is in town. Maybe the Dallas Cowboys make a play for A.J. Dillon, since he's the number 2, no matter who's in town, allegedly. They drafted Marshawn Lloyd. So maybe the Cowboys go after A.J. Dillon, a guy I covered at Boston College, whose thighs are as big as my entire self. And then there's Christian Watson is back, and Romeo Doubs and Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks and Bo Melton and all these guys that you didn't know last year and you may not know right now, but they have worked together to help out being weapons for Jordan Love. So, Jay Bird, you were a peach for sitting there as I went through the crash course, but I wanted to catch everybody up. What notes do you have on the changes made to some rosters that I just mentioned?
So I think you mentioned Houston in there. Houston.
Not yet. Not yet.
Oh, you didn't mention
That was the
Houston.
next one. That was the next one. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at the same thing. So you did mention Dallas.
Yes.
Dallas didn't do much. Dallas kind of has, as you look at these different lists of, there's like 10 players, 15 players on each team's list. Dallas only has like 6.
Yeah.
And it's 3 running backs, a linebacker, a cornerback, and the long snapper. Like, so Dallas, I was very interested with Dallas because they didn't do much.
Yeah.
Because they pretty much just drafted, and that's all they've done.
Yeah.
And you bring Zeke back. That's a super interesting move. Zeke's kind of on the back end of things. Had a very quiet year in New England last year. Like, Dolphins played them twice. I don't even remember hearing his name.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he was so low on the depth chart, and I mean, he was a non-factor. I think some people don't even know that he played last year, and I don't mean that. I'm not trying to say that disrespectfully. He just wasn't really utilized, and he wasn't the dominant guy. So I mean, having Zeke back and I said Tony Pollard was going to take Zeke's job 2 years before it happened. I said, listen, it's coming down the road. Covered him at Memphis. Tony Pollard's going to take over. Then he took over. Now he's gone, and Zeke is there again. And, and I said this on the show yesterday, Jay, and I got to say it again. Whenever I see Zeke in a half shirt, I just picture Zeke as Tracy Morgan in The Longest Yard.
No. Give me a D. No. All right, I get it.
Let's go to Arizona for a second. Is this the last moment for Kyler Murray in Arizona? Is this it? He's got Marvin Harrison Jr. He's got James Conner. They bring in some help in the backfield. They have Michael Carter, who was drafted as a Jet, and they draft Trey Benson. So you got, in my opinion, 3 running backs that can do something. You have Michael Wilson, who stepped up in a huge way last year as a rookie that people didn't maybe necessarily know. Trey McBride, big tight end. I mean, is this the last time for Kyler Murray? Like, if he doesn't show it this year, is that it?
Well, I mean, is there anybody other than Desmond Ridder behind him? Because if there's not, then no, he's good. I think he makes some great plays. I think he keeps things exciting out there for Arizona, who, incidentally, they have the cheapest season tickets in the NFL at about $400 a year for some upper level seats. So, like, I checked that out earlier this year to see who had the cheapest ones. But I think Kyler is a good player. It's just a matter of getting him on the same page with the offensive coordinator. It seemed like he was always having a back and forth with the head coach and offensive coordinator there that was really like holding him back. So he's an exciting player. He's just short. He's just like Bryce. Bryce is short too. So you've got to think that he's going to hang around for a little bit if Desmond Ridder's the only other option.
Does Bryce Young have a good sophomore season, or is Carolina potentially heading toward being the worst team in the NFL 2 years in a row?
I got to see Bryce play last year, actually. I was pretty impressed by him. I thought, they jumped out on the Dolphins 14-0 in the first quarter with Bryce making plays. So, a second year could be just what he needs. Couple weapons there, Deontay Johnson and David Moore. You never know, man. I really think that he could have a good year. And NFC South is not like the hardest division either. So, could have a good year.
Yeah, I mean, I think Bryce has. I'm hoping because the first year for any quarterback, I don't think people fully understand this. Typically, a quarterback's first year is not that good. C.J. Stroud is an enigma, and I mean Peyton Manning's first year more interceptions and touchdowns, not a winning record. Trevor Lawrence's first year, more interceptions and touchdowns. And it's just, I feel like people don't really give that leeway. Like you said, normally a rookie quarterback's supposed to learn from a veteran, but that doesn't happen anymore because if you're on a bad team, maybe they bring a guy in, but there's not really anybody there for you. I mean, Caleb Williams, I think Badgett is still there, and I mean, it's Caleb or bust. When we look at Drake May, who's behind Drake? I mean, it's not like they have this guy that's going to sit there and
I think it's Brisket.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing is like Jacoby, he can help. I mean, I think Jacoby is better than people think, and there's some leadership, but there's no Mac Jones to sit there and say, hey, this is what the first few years of my career were like. And in Washington, for goodness sakes, they just get rid of everybody. And Sam Howell's in Seattle now. So, I mean, these first 3 picks, they're walking into their teams really like, it's on you, bro, and you got to figure it out. And in the case of Bryce Young, for goodness sakes, I mean, they bring in Matt Corral to Carolina. He was hurt. He never gets out there. They bring in Andy Dalton. They bring in Bryce Young. They had all these guys. They brought Cam Newton back. People forget that happened. And,
I was there for that.
You were there for that, you said?
Yeah, he had a game in Miami where he threw 3 picks. I remember.
Yeah, and it's so strange, and I still can't figure out how he fits all that hair into his helmet. But when you look at, I just feel like it's fake. I feel like he takes it off. So
yeah,
it can't be real. But I mean, Bryce Young, you're going to learn when you go into the NFL. He's the number 1 pick, so he's going to get a lot of scrutiny, unfortunately, and it's not fair. But Carolina's had a ton of issues, and when you're going through quarterbacks and head coaches like underpants and you're getting rid of a guy 11 weeks in of his first year there, what that speaks to is a front office problem, which it was, and they obviously admitted that in their own way by getting a new general manager. So we'll see where Carolina goes from here. Some of the other pieces here, Cincinnati, T. Higgins, what's going on? I mean, do you think that ultimately this is going to get signed? It's going to get done? Are we going to see another guy who doesn't go to training camp to dig his heels in the sand and say, I'm not coming out until I get paid right? What do you think about the T. Higgins factor?
So what I'm seeing on T. Higgins, at least on what I'm looking at, it says he received the non-exclusive franchise tag, which will pay him around $21.8 million for the 2024 season from Ian Rappaport.
Yeah, and they said that he has not signed it or agreed to it. So
really?
There's some opening here, or even if it's there, I mean, we've seen guys sign a franchise tag, right, and then sit out and say, I'm not playing. I'm not going to, I signed it, but I'm not coming to practice. So the tag has been placed on him, and that was announced back in February. They've officially applied it at the end of February, and then allegedly he requested a trade in March. So, I mean, he's getting a lot of money. He's getting almost $22 million, but it's 1 year. And I think the thing that the other side to this, well, he's getting so much money, why doesn't he just like suck it up and enjoy it? I think the other side to that is if he gets injured, he has no insurance on his future.
Yeah, that's a good football team. I mean, I don't know if I'd be trying to talk my way out of Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Joe
I also
Burrow.
don't know, like T. Higgins, I mean, he's a 1,000-yard receiver more often than he's not, but I don't know that he's been consistent enough to – I think they can live without him. I think that they drafted Jermaine Burton. Maybe that was an insurance plan, but – I mean, T. Higgins is the 2 to Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I don't know why T would – I think if he looks around the NFL at some of these guys that were like, screw you, I'll go find someplace else. Plaxico, Odell, Antonio, it's not it's not always grass is greener on the other side. And if I'm T. Higgins, I don't know why I wouldn't want to make a run with Cincinnati.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty set up, especially offensively. To me, there's no reason to be trying to talk your way out of Cincinnati. I could see talking your way out of Carolina, but not Cincinnati.
Yeah, yeah. So, any other notes? I mean, we've spoken about Atlanta before we get into Houston here, but Green Bay with Josh Jacobs now. Cleveland stayed pretty consistent. We talked about Chicago. Baltimore's got Derrick Henry now. Any notes that you want to make on those teams that I mentioned before we get into Houston?
Yeah, definitely a note there on Josh Jacobs. The best year he had was a contract year, and his rookie year. So he's had 2 good years so far, but other than that, been super injury riddled. So it'll be interesting to see if he stays healthy and if he can be that number 1 in front of AJ Dillon, because AJ is always ready to go. And with Jordan Love there, man, they can get an offense together and compete in that NFC North.
The Houston Texans, the rich got richer, and they got Madonna in Stephon Diggs. So C.J. Stroud, Joe Mixon. Madonna has beautiful music. I'm just saying. There's some drama, and I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just me, but I think there's a chance that Stephon Diggs could go home at night and get in front of the mirror and Madonna, Madonna, Madonna. It's possible. What do you think about, Houston, we have Nico Collins, Tank Dell, God willing, is back soon. And John Mechie the third they drafted recently. Joe Mixon's in town with Damian Pierce now. Jawar Jordan Jr., who was recruited by Louisville, went to Syracuse, covered him here. Then he went to Louisville. Guy's going to help out potentially in kick return, punt return, in my opinion. And he's just a speedy guy. I'm a big fan of his. C.J. Stroud is C.J. Stroud. And Dalton Schultz is back. What do you think about Houston? Is this a playoff team again? And does Stephon Diggs make them better? Or does he make them better first and then worse? Or is it going to be a roller coaster?
Yeah, I think it's super bad news for your Jaguars in that AFC South. The Texans look like they're going to be a juggernaut. If you ask me, they look like they're going to be a freaking wagon. They're going to be tough to beat. They're going to be very good. Joe Mixon coming in is huge for them. A guy that not only does he run the ball well, he catches it out of the backfield. Dalton Schultz, a tight end, good weapon there. And then Diggs, come on, man. Like, Diggs, he has a little bit of a Madonna, but as a Dolphins fan, I'm so happy to see him out of my damn division. So, yeah, hell of a player. And you guys better watch out there in the AFC South. The Texans, my boy Adam Markowitz, they're going to have some stuff to talk about this year. And it could be all the way, you just don't even know, could be all the way to the championship game or the Super Bowl. Yeah. They're going to be good. They're going to be that good, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think they got a shot too. I really do.
They got to get some home games.
Well, I think. What'd you say?
In the playoffs. They got to get some home games in the playoffs, because that's kind of what did them in last year, was having to go to Baltimore, because they were playing well in the first half, and then the second half they just fell apart being on the road, I think.
Yeah, and I think the thing with Jacksonville is that Houston, the last couple of years, the Jaguars had a window.
Yeah.
And now,
closed.
That window's closed. Now you got to fight like hell because Houston is good again. And then the Indianapolis Colts, the hope that Anthony Richardson has a true rookie season and gets out there from the AC joint injury, God willing. And then Trey Sermon is in town here now with Jonathan Taylor. Michael Pittman Jr. is back. They drafted Adonai Mitchell and Alec Pierce from Cincinnati that I cover with the Bearcats. Josh Downs, who they drafted last year. So they got some young talent. They got Kylan Granson at tight end as well with Mo Alley Cox in the crew and Jelani Woods. So they do have a bunch of weapons in Indianapolis. What are your thoughts on a season that is totally Anthony Richardson? What can that look like for Indianapolis?
Yeah, Anthony's got to stay healthy. He's got a big arm. He's a pretty accurate quarterback. Michael Pittman Jr. there. That's a team that can compete too.
Yeah, and then we look at the Jacksonville Jaguars here with Jason Lucas of the Sports and Entertainment World on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. The Jaguars have two guys from the 2021 NFL Draft drafted in the top 15 at quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, number 1. Mac Jones, number 15. Two that I predicted to be exactly where they were. Travis Etienne Jr. joining the Jags that same year as well, being injured. So his rookie season came a season later in 2022, but contract-wise, 2021. Tank Bigsby is back. They drafted Keelan Robinson out of Texas, and Dearness Johnson is back on the team as well. So they have at least 4 running backs. It looks like they're all going to stay on the team since Dearness Johnson was signed and Tank Bigsby drafted last year. And that in the receiving core, Christian Kirk is back, hopefully coming back from injury. Gabe Davis is in town from UCF. And Brian Thomas Jr., that I thought that they would pick from LSU. They actually did pick out of LSU. Devin Duvernay looks like he'll be returning kicks and punts with my guy no longer on the team. Sad face, sad face. But, there's been some changes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they could be good. They could be trying. I want to know what you think, Jay. Evan Engram, 1,000-yard receiver, and he's playing tight end. So your thoughts on what it looks like now. Zay Jones is gone from this team. Marvin Jones Jr. went a little bit before that. And, the Jaguars just letting go of some of these guys that some of them have built really good relationships with that are no longer on this roster. And they brought a lot of talent. They brought a lot of fight. And I want to make sure that Jamal Agnew mentioned him. And that's the guy I was talking about, the Devin Duvernay taking over for, most likely, in my opinion. What does this Jaguars receiving core look like to you? And what does the team look like to you as we step forward?
I think the receiving core looks pretty exciting. I mean, obviously, I'm thrilled that Gabe Davis is back in the state of Florida and out of Buffalo, where they treated him like on the way out the door. So glad to see him. The Brian Thomas pick, I love. That's one of our guys from Coach Hankton there at LSU. So super excited for that. I think the receiving core will be great. I think it's very encouraging that Trevor Lawrence actually had a reel come out. It was almost 3 minutes long, and the reel only consisted of one thing: dropped touchdown passes from last season.
Yeah.
So I think a guy like Gabe Davis, a guy like Brian Thomas Jr., those hands, they can come in and catch them damn touchdown passes and make the Jaguars it's a little better. It's a little better than they were last year. It will be them and the Texans, I think, as far as like a heavyweight battle there in the AFC South. The division itself is probably as good as it's ever been right now.
Yeah, and in looking at the other piece of that, the Tennessee Titans in the AFC South, what you see from Tennessee, as Tennessee is in a place right now, and I'm going to jump here in the alphabetical order that we've been going down, but in the AFC South, Tennessee, Will Levis is their quarterback. Malik Willis is still there. Mason Rudolph brought in from the Steelers. Tony Pollard is there from Dallas. Tajay Spears.
Memphis.
What'd you say?
Memphis.
That's right.
Tony Pollard.
Another Memphis running back in the NFL. I told you all that at one point there was 5 or 6 that were in the 1 to 2 deep.
Yes.
Tajay Spears coming from the same conference, the American Athletic. Tulane, part of the team that defeated USC and Caleb Williams in the Cotton Bowl down in Dallas' Stadium in Arlington, Texas, that I was there for. Tajay, I believe, had 4 touchdowns in that game. And so Tajay's back for a year or two. Tony Pollard, young in the game here as well. Treylon Burks didn't really have a great freshman season in the NFL. Kelvin Ridley signed a 4-year contract to leave the Jaguars and go to the Titans, and he's got DeAndre Hopkins with him. What's your take on Tennessee and what they have now with Will Levis, Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, Ridley, Burks, Hopkins? We talk about the juggernaut of the Texans and the Jaguars may be getting better, but Tennessee Titans are going to be a pain in the tush, it looks like.
Yeah, man. Them Broadway girls got something to be excited about this year in Tennessee. I think it's just a matter of, can Will Levis be who they said he was supposed to be? Can he be that quarterback that gets Calvin Ridley the ball and Tyler Boyd the ball? Tony Pollard's a great weapon to bring in. Obviously, Derrick Henry out of town now. Thought their defense was great when I saw them in Miami last year on Monday Night Football. They took us out.
Yeah.
Going to be another great team in this AFC South. I think it's, like I said, I think it's looking like that division is going to be the toughest one to come out of.
Yeah, we're going to take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora from inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. Jay Bird and I going through the NFL, speaking on the draft and the offseason moves, telling you who's on what team. And on that upcoming NFL schedule, we know who the opponents are. We just don't know what the schedule looks like yet. So we'll discuss that. Jay Bird's Dolphins, my Jaguars coming up here. We're also going to get Jay's thoughts on the Raiders. Is Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew the better bet for them to go to? And did Kansas City get better? How? Because Buffalo let them draft above them? We'll talk about it all after this fast break. Xavier Worthy, I'm really happy I have your rookie cards. I'm sure they'll be worth money very soon. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back right after this on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, featuring Jason Lucas here this morning, right after this. Central New Yorkers, you can now enjoy the taste of Heritage Hill award-winning craft beers, seltzers, and a full bar at 3 locations. Spend your weekends at their beautiful location in Pompey with its amazing views, sunsets, family, and pet-friendly facilities, as well as extensive private event areas. Get their taps, tonics, and tastes in their brand new North Syracuse location at Sweetheart Corner in North Syracuse, New York. When flying in and out of Syracuse Hancock International Airport, make sure to visit their Palladino Farms location. At Heritage Hill, they believe in supporting our community and are excited to now meet you where you're at and where you're going with their local farm-raised tastes. Find out more information at heritagehillbrewery.com.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We are, of course, coming to you this morning and Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time from the Heritage Hill Studios. I got to get Jay Bird up here so we can go out to these places because I know he appreciates some good drinks, some good food, some good sights and things that are obviously made in the community. Heritage Hill in Pompey, and of course the new Heritage Hill North on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. Jason, I'm going to see you hopefully in a couple weeks. We can work something out here, but I got to get you up here. Can we get you up north for a couple days?
Man, I think it's totally possible.
Yeah, we need to get you up here.
I'd love that.
We need to bring you here, get you up north, have you have some fun. The room is already ready for you, Jay, so we can have a good time here, and I like that. I like Jason and I take on my hometown of Syracuse, New York. We got to make it happen. Taking on the Raiders, a team that I know that you've watched closely over the years. The Vegas Raiders. They have Aiden O'Connell, and they have Gardner Minshew. Covered both of these guys. They've both been at colleges that I was covering inside of conferences that I've spent a lot of time with, or in matchups that I was a part of. Aiden O'Connell was in the Dome a couple of years ago for Purdue, and I watched him play in a loss, and they just barely lost that game. And I said, listen, this is the reality for me. Aiden O'Connell is an NFL quarterback. He will be in the NFL. I think he had 400 yards and like 5 touchdowns in that game against the 4 or 5 touchdowns against Syracuse, even in the loss. I thought he was an NFL guy. I still think he's an NFL guy. But some people are like, no, Gardner Minshew, he's on the team, signed a 2-year deal, he's going to be the guy. Who would you like to see lead the Raiders? What do you think about Minshew and O'Connell?
I think Minshew's more of an Antonio Pierce guy. I think Antonio Pierce is going to like him better for sure. Bring Michael Gallup to town there, wide receiver. Got Devontae Adams still there. Offense could be pretty good there. It could definitely see some improvement. Again, anytime I mention this division, you're looking at Kansas City getting better. So yeah, everybody's got to improve. I think Christian Wilkins on the D-line was a huge, huge deal for them to get him alongside Max Crosby there. And actually, one of the funniest things was seeing Max Crosby and Gardner Minshew actually meet each other as teammates, because he was calling Gardner little boy when they played them in Indy last year. He's like, get up, little boy.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see that mixture in that Antonio Pierce, that whatever you want to call it, that Antonio Pierce brings there. Toughness. Yeah. I guess we could say toughness and keep it a family show. And I think the Raiders they're really going to come and be a tough out for a lot of teams this year. And that Vegas atmosphere, it can be loud in there too. No reason not to be at least a little bit optimistic if you're a Raiders fan.
Yeah, I mean, they're a team that typically can shock these last couple seasons, take down a Kansas City in one of 2 outings. And speaking of Kansas City, they had Tyreek Hill. He helped beat the Bills in 13 seconds. Then they didn't have Tyreek Hill. He goes to Miami, your Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And then you fast forward, and I put this post up draft night, fast forward to the 2024 NFL draft, and the Bills let the Chiefs take their 28th pick and they trade down to 32. And my question is, if you're going to trade with anybody, why would you trade with your biggest adversary of the last 3 years? And then they go and get the fastest guy in the combine, 4.2, 140, and Xavier Worthy. So did Kansas City, not that they, I don't want to compare, I don't want to say Xavier Worthy's Tyreek Hill and this, that, whatever, but Buffalo struggled with facing Tyreek Hill. Then Tyreek went to another team, and now Pat Mahomes has another fast weapon potentially over the middle. What is Buffalo doing? And did the back-to-back Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs that have built a dynasty with Mahomes and Andy Reid and Travis Kelce and the crew, did they get better with this trade for Xavier Worthy?
I mean, I think yes. Kansas City is, I mean, they're a freaking wagon. Nobody can solve them. The Dolphins went up there in negative 30-degree temperatures and got blown out in the playoffs. So, man, I don't know. When it comes to Kansas City, that Andy Reid, he's so organized and he just keeps them going the right direction with all those egos. And you got to imagine Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce walking in the door with all that drama that's got to go around the Taylor Swift deal and Patrick Mahomes and all his commercials and Kelce and all his commercials. And
yeah,
bringing all of those personalities together like Andy Reid was able to do last season was amazing. And Jason Kelce pulling his shirt off in Buffalo, like, great times. Great times for them. And, I mean, I think they're a really good football team. Chris Jones up front, just nasty. That dude, I mean, he gets in there. They re-signed Noddy, another big one that just, I mean, they are a tough team to beat. And then you add a speed piece like that. Geez, even when they punt it, they brought in the damn punt god, Matt Araiza. So they're going to be good again. Yeah, bad news, everybody.
Yeah, you know, and I, with all these commercials, I can see Xavier Worthy doing a fast food commercial showing how fast he is in getting fast food. And they could have like a McDonald's thing speeding through the drive-thru, playing off of the fact that he's a fast guy. So, and if you do that, if you involve him in any way, shape, or form, that idea came from Dan Tortora, Broadcast Media, LLC, Kansas City. I'll let you know where to send the check to. The Chargers with Jim Harbaugh, he is now there, and he's got a bunch of Baltimore Ravens in the front office, on the team. John Harbaugh probably not going to tell his brother anything else for the rest of the time that they're both in the NFL together, since a bunch of his guys are now with his brother on the other side of the country. Justin Herbert, obviously their quarterback. Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins come over from Baltimore together. And the receiving crew, interesting. Josh Palmer, young. Quentin Johnston, drafted last year. Ladd McConkey, drafted this year. DJ Shark, coming from the Jaguars and through other areas before coming to the Chargers. Darius Davis, another young guy. Simi, another young guy. Will Dissly and Hayden Hurst, trying out those tight ends with Donald Parham Jr., who came from the second iteration of the XFL. What are your thoughts on the Chargers, and are you surprised that they haven't made a move for a veteran wide receiver?
In week 1, at that point of the season.
Yeah.
The way that Tua came out was slinging, and Herbert came out and was slinging. It was a hell of a ball game, and Herbert, gets hurt halfway through the season, doesn't finish the year. They're a tough team to ever figure out because they're always supposed to do good, and they'll get to a point and then they just don't perform anymore. So it's a very underperforming team there.
Yeah.
Every year. It's got to be so frustrating for them. Jim Harbaugh coming in, though, hopefully can bring his experience and change that and turn them into a winner in a division that includes the Chiefs, where, hey, you're going to have to find a way. You got to find a way to beat that Andy Reid wagon over there.
Yeah, and then you look at the fact that you look at the other team that plays in the same arena, the Los Angeles Rams. Blake Corum, who is coached by Jim Harbaugh at Michigan, he is now a Los Angeles Ram, and he's going to be working in the backfield with Kyron Williams, who definitely was a blessing in disguise for the Los Angeles Rams coming out of Notre Dame. What are your thoughts on the Rams? They got Puka Nacua, they got Cooper Kupp, Matt Stafford. They're still flying under the radar with all of this talent. Thoughts on the Rams and thoughts on the fact that Jim Harbaugh can still have dinner with Blake Corum, but he's not going to be coaching him?
Yeah, no, I think the Rams are just another solid football team in the NFC West. I think, that division as well is a tough one to come out of, with the 49ers being amazing there as well. Jimmy G was a signing there to be, I guess, the backup to Stafford. So that's quite interesting. I wonder how that does work, though, where they share the stadium as far as that goes. Like, what kind of, are these two teams going out together? Are they, you got a team in your town. I think that's super interesting, the dynamic between the players of having two teams there with all that money.
Yeah.
It's got to be interesting to see how many guys head out at night, spend all that money in the local breweries there.
and their colors are almost exactly the same, and the newer iteration of the Chargers logo looked like a ram, so very confusing there. Let's get to your Miami Dolphins. Tua is obviously, we saw what it looked like to have him healthy last year and the excitement that could be around it. Having a healthy Tua, I thought, put them in a position to vie for the AFC East, and they did have many instances where they were doing that. So Tua Tagovailoa on the quarterback trail here for the Miami Dolphins. Raheem Mostert's back. Achane is back as well. Jeff Wilson Jr. is back for the time being. Those guys are all there. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle while you work. And then you have Braxton Berrios and a slew of other guys trying to become number 3. Jonnu Smith is in town with Durham Smythe at tight end. Miami has stayed pretty consistent. They brought back their quarterback. They brought back their rushing attack. They brought back their top 2 receivers. So we're looking at a Miami team that seems like Cleveland and like Detroit to be trusting in what they had last year.
Yeah, and one thing you missed, we signed Odell Beckham Jr. this morning officially.
Yes.
So that is supposed to be the number 3 receiver.
Yeah.
We will see. But yeah, I mean, as far as names go, the Dolphins have a lot of name recognition as far as Tua, now Odell Beckham Jr., Tyreek, Waddle. This offense, Jonnu Smith is going to be a huge addition, because the one thing we didn't really have last year, like you'd mentioned Durham Smythe, but like Jonnu Smith is another kind of athlete at that tight end position where we can actually have somebody that receives on a regular basis. So will be interesting to see if that offense can take off like it was supposed to. Mostert had an amazing year last year, set the franchise record for rushing touchdowns. And Achane is like right up on his back door knocking, because Achane is fast. He is sudden. I can tell you from experience, seeing DBs with the angle on him, forget it. He is fast. And that is going to be a lot of trouble for anybody trying to stop the Dolphins offense this year.
Yeah, Dolphins got a lot of things here. Odell Beckham Jr., like you said, in town now. Over under that you buy an Odell jersey.
I'm sticking with my Tua jersey. It's, for me, like my personal story as far as like, my dad got the Dolphins in my blood. Like watching Tua go through what he went through at Alabama, from winning the national championship as a freshman to as a senior, the hip dislocation and everything that he had to come back from.
Yeah.
That's what made me pull the trigger on a season ticket his second year in Miami. And I've been there ever since. Now he's in his 5th year. So, yeah, Tua's my guy, and I swear he's going to win it all one day. And I'm going to be like, see, I told you about Tua. Everybody talks down about Tua. Dolphins Twitter even talks down about Tua. But that's my guy. And I think he's going to take us to places that we could have only dreamed of before he got to town.
I got a couple Tua rookie cards that I might get graded because I too believe in Tua. So, and was a fan of him in college, and I'm a fan of his faith and his Hawaiian roots as well, and just that family atmosphere. Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy, looks like he's going to be the guy. Nick Mullins, Jaron Hall drafted last year, Sam Darnold, Aaron Jones on the team, now in the NFC North, but now wearing purple instead of forest green. Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, who I think arguably was better in Minnesota than even Detroit, but now they don't have Kirk Cousins. What does Minnesota look like this year? Are we talking 6 wins? Are we talking 7? Are we talking, hey, if they stay healthy, they're going to be a threat? You and I both think J.J. McCarthy is going to need some time. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a huge question mark. You got Sam Darnold in there too at the quarterback position. I think that, the number one thing for their quarterbacks, there's a nice security blanket that Aaron Jones is probably the best receiving running back I've seen in the last 10, 15 years. So that's nice to have a nice short pass that you can throw anytime you need it. And obviously what he brings to you in the running game. So, yeah, big question marks there with J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold, whichever one they're going to go with. I assume it's McCarthy. But it's a huge question mark for me. I think he's a good quarterback. I think he was a good college quarterback. I'm just, you got to see what happens because you have no idea what kind of NFL quarterback they're going to be until they get there and start showing what they can do.
And I figured out that Sam Darnold, I like to give names to people that I cover, and I've decided that Sam Darnold from here on out will be referred to as Hey Darnold. So I got to go with that. Big fan of that name that came to me this morning in conversation. The New England Patriots, Drake May looks like he's going to be the guy. And Ramondre Stevenson has Antonio Gibson, little step up there in the backfield from the Washington Commanders. And then the wide receivers, they got Jalen Polk, KJ Osborne, who I covered in college, went to Buffalo and then went down to the University of Miami. Juju Smith-Schuster's still there. Demario Douglas, bunch of non-household names. Austin Hooper's been all over the place, and he's there with Hunter Henry now. New England, are they sneaky this season with Gerard Mayo as their head coach? Is this a Patriots team that you think could be a middle of the road, a 500 type of team, or are they a team that you think is maybe a little bit better but not great?
Number one thing you got to have in the NFL is a quarterback, and Drake May, first year, he's going to be good. I think he's going to be good and show some flashes, but I just can't see the Patriots post-Belichick era just jumping right off and being good. And as bad as they were the last 2 years, really,
yeah,
it'll be a while until I'm like, oh, they're going to be good. I think, for them, they're looking at 2 to 3 years out of rebuilding in New England, and the rest of us finally being like, yeah, see how it feels?
So, and yeah, I mean, New England, we shall see. Before Brady, there was a lot of tough seasons, a couple 4-win seasons within a 3-year span. We're going to run through the rest of these here with Jason Lucas, Sports and Entertainment World, and here with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Heritage Hill Studios. The New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr has Jake Haener from last year. Spencer Rattler comes in as a steal. Taysom Hill is still a quarterback / tight end / everything else. And then we see Jamal Williams with Alvin Kamara and Chris Olave, Shaheed. No Michael Thomas for the first time in forever. And guess what? Even when there was a Michael Thomas, there wasn't a Michael Thomas in New Orleans. What do you think about New Orleans? They don't seem to have the depth, but do they have enough to make the NFC South interesting, since we know that you can win that division by not really doing much?
Right? They say if you're last place in the NFC South, just wait till next year, because that division seems to turn upside down every year, with Tampa coming from all the way the worst team to being the best team this past year. So I mean, it could come together for them. I wouldn't bet on it though, and I think Derek Carr in the twilight of his career is probably, as shown on the sideline last year, super frustrated with things in New Orleans, and it didn't go as he planned. Don't see New Orleans being much of a threat this year.
Yeah, and then we look to the Giants. They decided to stick with Daniel Jones. Tommy DeVito is there from Syracuse and Illinois. Devin Singletary's in the backfield for them, the former Buffalo Bill, who found a little bit of time in Houston. They drafted who I thought they would, Malik Neighbors. So Neighbors is there with Wendell Robinson, Darius Slayton, Jalen Hyatt, Isaiah McKenzie, also a former Buffalo Bill. Where are the Giants? Are they going to do anything this year? Let's say there's a healthy Daniel Jones. Is Neighbors the answer? Some people think that Brian Thomas Jr. was the better LSU choice out of the receiving core. To me, on paper, Neighbors is who I thought the Giants would take, but I don't really know if the Giants have gotten much better.
No, super tough division, that NFC East. I don't see them being a threat either for years through the draft.
Speaking of same stadium, do they go out together? Do they hang out? The Giants and the Jets both share MetLife Stadium. And looking at the Jets, they, on the other hand, look like a different team. Team trying to make the postseason. If Aaron Rodgers is healthy, we'll see. Tyrod Taylor, we'll see. Jordan Travis, I think in a couple years is going to get a shot to be the starting quarterback of the Jets. I think they got him. They got him in the 5th round. They traded up 171st overall. That's what it typically looks like when you're building toward the future guy. And so Jordan Travis here is backing up Taylor and Rodgers. Breece Hall is in the backfield. They drafted a couple running backs to help them out, and they have a Banaconda out of Pittsburgh from last year. Garrett Wilson, they bring in Mike Williams from the Chargers. They draft Malachi Corley, and they still have Lazard. They still have Xavier Gibson. And then we look at Tyler Conklin as their tight end. If we can have more than 5 minutes with Aaron Rodgers, what do the Jets look like?
My father-in-law is going to love this. Shout out Mimi. Your Jets are going to be real good this year, Dad. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to stay healthy. I think bringing in Mike Williams is going to be a big deal there. Wide receivers are going to be good there, and that offense is going to get it together, and the defense wasn't the problem.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think the Jets have a real chance in the AFC East to give the Dolphins some problems. And it could come down to the wire, I think, between the Dolphins and Jets with, Buffalo, I think, actually downgraded this year. So,
yeah, I think the Jets got a shot to be really special, have a really nice year this year. We got a few more teams to jump through here inside of the Heritage Hill Studios on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Philadelphia Eagles, Jalen Hurts and Kenny Pickett, they're together? Yeah, girl. Tanner McKee, who I have a bunch of rookie cards of. Don't know how it happened, but it happened. Will Greer. Saquon Barkley is in town now, coming from the Giants to the Eagles. And they still have Kenneth Gainwell. They went and got Will Shipley, who I covered in college. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Devontae Parker. 2 Devontaes, spelled different, though. And then Dallas Goedert is back on the crew. Devontae and Devontae, I feel like that's an exciting kind of unique thing here. Philadelphia, gonna be playoff or no playoff?
I would say fairly easy playoff. Saquon Barkley, that's a heck of a pickup for them. Obviously, they have a good offensive line there and the ability to run the football, which he never had with the Giants.
Yeah.
So I think Saquon's going to bring another, the push and all the stuff that they like to do out of that offense. I mean, with A.J. Brown out there too and Devontae Smith.
Yeah, team looks like
they're gonna be good.
Yeah, it looks like they're going to be good in Pennsylvania. Russell Wilson, Justin Fields. Here's my question for the people out there: who will be the quarterback at the end of the season? Will it be Russ the Bus? Will it be Justin Fields, or will it be somebody else? I had a fan tell me somebody else is who he thinks. Najee Harris, we shall see. He may not have a future in Pittsburgh. and he's there right now. Jalen Warren is there. George Pickens, Van Jefferson via the Rams, Calvin Austin III, who is another Memphis guy, Pat Fryermuth, who's my favorite Steeler currently. What happens with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is this a team that let go of Kenny Pickett and got worse?
Yeah, Coach Mike always keeps them together over there. I think that somehow, some way, they're going to be right there, right on that line of the playoffs, and that seems to be where they've been the last few years. They're right. They go into that last week of the season, and they're just right. They can either get there or they can't, and that's kind of where this team, I think, is going to be.
Yeah.
I think you probably lean toward Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. A lot of jokes going around about Justin Fields being a starting receiver for the team.
Yeah.
Kick returner. So I think Russell Wilson will be the pick to play quarterback this year, at least to start. Yeah, this is a borderline team. This is a team that has a lot of talent. They're very tough up front defensively. Gonna be a good team and a tough out for anybody.
Yeah, it could be another Cordell Stewart / what about that Justin Fields? San Francisco, Brock Purdy, Josh Dobbs, who has been a Steeler numerous times, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, and they have Isaac Guarendo coming in with Elijah Mitchell, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. As of right now, are San Francisco 49ers. Ricky Pearsall gets drafted 31st overall. George Kittle is back on this team. Do they have enough in San Fran to do it again? Or are teams like Philadelphia and some other teams out there in the NFC, have they just gotten too much of the good things going on here? They've gotten just more better, I guess I would say, that San Fran, can they do it again, or is this too much getting better in the NFC for San Fran to keep up with?
Yeah, I think as long as you have Shanahan and John Lynch out there calling the shots, San Francisco's going to be a contender every year. They were a tough out last year. They probably should have won the Super Bowl with what they had. So there's no reason to not see them in that NFC West, not the most tough division. Seattle, Arizona, struggle bus. I could see them, them and the Rams going back and forth for that division for sure. And then they have enough to get there. It's just a matter of getting over the hump. I think that's how you have to feel it.
Don Cordero is going to be backing up Geno Smith with Sam Howell at the moon. Geno, again, is the guy. I thought 3 years ago Seattle was going to draft a quarterback, maybe. Definitely last year. Now, 3 years now, they've gone with Geno Smith. They believe in Geno. Kenneth Walker III, Zach Charbonnet, a good glass of Charbonnet in the backfield for them. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Jackson Smith, and Jigba staying healthy. That could be a group of 3 wide receivers that maybe could rival anybody in the NFL if Geno can get the ball out to him, which he's proven he can. Noah Fant is still there. What are your thoughts? I like this team because Howl at the Moon, a glass of Charbonnet, gives me a lot of fun things to talk about. Seattle, are they a playoff team? Are they a 9-win team? Are they just made it in as a wild card team? Where's Seattle?
I've always looked at Seattle a lot like I look at Pittsburgh. They're right there. They're close to the playoffs every year, or they just barely make it. They've kind of fallen a lot since the years of the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
And Russ Wilson obviously isn't what he used to be in those years when he took them to the Super Bowl. They don't really have that quarterback that you're looking at. You're like, oh, this is great. No, Geno, can show. I think Geno had a couple good games last year, and Drew Lock had a game on Monday Night Football where they pulled off a win that was pretty crazy, but they just aren't as good as they used to be. They have some pieces, but can they put it together? Probably not this year.
Yeah, and then we look at Tampa. We look at Baker Mayfield, who is back with this team. Could have potentially gone somewhere else. He's committed to Tampa. Kyle Trask, go Gators, is still behind him. Rashad White, Sean Tucker, go Cuse. is there as an undrafted rookie, made it through the entire season with Tampa, back again with Tampa, says a lot about him. Kingsley Jonathan, same thing on the defensive line for Buffalo, out of Syracuse, undrafted, and just sticking with the Buffalo Bills and them with him. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, both back on the team. Jalen McMillan coming from the Washington Huskies team. I got a bunch of his rookie cards. And Cade Otton is back with Payne Durham in the crew. Payne Durham, who was throwing to him at Purdue, Aiden O'Connell. Tampa, to me, looks like yet again a playoff team and maybe a force to be reckoned with. What are your thoughts?
Yep, that's the NFC South for you. From last to first, they were last year, and they gave Detroit all they wanted on the road, which I don't know if you knew this, but Detroit plays indoors.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I think Tampa's good. I think that last year they really had a shot and they overperformed last year. I think you would say they overachieved last year. Baker Mayfield is a hell of a leader. Woo. They can do it. They can be the NFC South champs 2 years in a row.
Yeah, I think Tampa's got a lot in the tank here, and they're definitely going to cause fits for a bunch of teams out there. Last one to note, we already did the Titans, so the Washington Commanders, my buddy Jerry Hart, who supported my career from day zero, big time shout out to you, Jerry. He's been waiting on this one. He said it's hard to say Commander to this day. Weird thing, understood, but the Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, we've already spoken highly of. They bring in Austin Eckler from the Chargers, and they have him in the backfield with Brian Robinson Jr., no more Antonio Gibson, who is now a New England Patriot. Terry McLaurin has proven that he can catch the ball from literally anybody. Jahan Dotson, Luke McCaffrey, and one of my favorite names to say, covered him at Virginia, Olamide Zacchaeus, coming from the Atlanta Falcons. Jamison Crowder, he's been all over the place, and I covered him at Duke. And Zach feels so good it hurts. That man he's been in the league since 1972. Incredible feat for him. What are your thoughts on the Washington Commanders?
I think they could compete right away with Jaden Daniels. I think they could compete right away. Austin Eckler's a great pickup for them. I talked about Aaron Jones as a great running back that catches the ball in the backfield. Eckler's probably the second best one I've seen catching the ball out of the backfield. Zach Ertz, he's always open, right?
Yeah.
And then, you got the pickups up front. The number one thing with a rookie quarterback is protecting him. I think that they've done that. Looks like they've picked up a couple centers and offensive guards that are going to be able to help them there. Dante Fowler Jr. signed a free agent deal there. That's good as far as rushing the passer and trying to get to Jalen Hurts twice a year. I don't think they'll be bad. I think you'll see an improvement.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Washington Commanders do have, I think 7 wins is fair to say when we look at the schedule when it comes out here. And for that being said, Jason and I ran through the entire NFL, talking draft, talking offseason moves, talking a little bit about the schedule. Our hopes for the Dolphins and the Jaguars scheduling-wise is that I'm always hoping that the Jaguars and Syracuse doesn't play Florida State this year, but that those Florida State, UCF, Jacksonville games, that maybe I can make a trip out of a bunch of things. Jay Bird with UCF and Miami. Let everybody know, Jason, what you've been doing. You've been on the road. You've been doing a lot of awesome things with Jess Lee, the non-best kept secret of country music, as she continues to get out there more and more. What do you want people to know about what you're doing, and as well as, your work with Jess Lee and just the awesome, hopeful year that we have ahead of us?
Yeah, I'd say I'm working quietly right now. I'm building. I'm building for a future that's going to be bright. So I would say between my Jess Lee fund and my Hard Rock app fun here in Florida, and doing what I do for Doctors RX for the weight loss company, we're building for the future. We got another thing coming up here with Hydroheal, which is actually like using water and putting it into your system, and really good for you. It's like the fountain of youth. So we're looking forward to some bright things this year, business-wise.
That come from Jason Lucas. Hopes for the future. Love hearing the positives and love seeing you smile. Jason Lucas, I call him Jay Bird, good friend of mine, speaking on the NFL and so much more. And as I always do, man, I pray and I hope for you happiness, health, safety, achieving all your dreams, and then achieving all the dreams beyond those dreams that you didn't even dream of yet. And a shout out to the family. And of course, much love to my beautiful and wonderful nieces, Miss Carly and Miss Gracie, and to the man above, under God, Mr. Carter. We miss you and we love you. So thank you, buddy, for everything. I send you my love, and hopefully in a couple weeks you and I can work out some time.
Sounds good, buddy. Can't wait to see you.
All right,
love you too, buddy.
Love you. See you.
Bye.
That coming from Jason Lucas once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're going to take our final step aside. We gave you extra time as we always do. We'll wrap up today's show right after this fast break on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbeville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville beats. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they're always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career, it's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, Carvelange, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315 487-2222 for the Wildcat Sports.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you right here on 639 Delmar Place in our community in Syracuse, New York, off of Teal Ave. They are open 7 days a week. You can find them Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. GG Cards and Breaks with sports cards, hockey, basketball, baseball, football, soccer, all sport, AEW, UFC, and of course trading cards in the Disney Lorcana and Pokemon world. Whatever you're looking for, it is a great place to start your sports card and trading card collecting, and it's a great place, as I can speak to and attest to continue. When you've been collecting cards your whole life like me, and you go to a place like GG Cards and Breaks, you can see the difference and just feel that connection, that community. I was in there yesterday, and all the guys are there that you're used to seeing, Josh and Anthony, Joel and Alex, and it was just amazing to walk in and be able to spend some time surrounded by people who love collecting, who have their own collections, and who it means a lot to. That love and that passion is seen every day at GG Cards and Breaks. I appreciate them tremendously. I love going there and collecting. I never walk out without something, and you got to go in today to see what you're going to come home with. GG Cards and Breaks, 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you, or say DT sent me over. And we appreciate y'all at GG Cards and Breaks. Thanks for being the difference. With that being said, on today's show, obviously I made a little costume change, a little wardrobe change, we'll call it, here on Wake Up Call inside of the Heritage Hill Studios for something really cool that you're going to have to stay tuned for. Wake Up Call is here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT. And on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they hop into the archive. Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. Search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora on any one of these outlets, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. A big time thanks to our exclusive studio partner, of course, Heritage Hill Brewhouse and Heritage Hill North, as well as Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mon Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, GG Cards and Breaks, Avicoli's K9 Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, K9 Campground Dog Boarding, Pizza Man, Great Lakes Honda City, Mother's Cupboard, and of course we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your LeMoyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month during Dolphin Time, Wednesdays at 9 a.m. like today with Liz Beville. You'll find the Dolphins here with us every Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. First and third Wednesday of each month, AD and DT, featuring Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. Find all of our content with LeMoyne by going to youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell. You'll also find the Dolphins on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. And as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find both of their campuses, James Street in Syracuse and right off of Route 57 in Liverpool, New York, right across from Avicoli's. The Bobcat Buzz comes to you every single month, giving you the student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year of men's and women's basketball, men's and women's soccer, baseball, esports, and more. And we cannot thank the Bobcats enough for their very unique story and wonderful opportunity at going back to college or going to college for the first time. The Bobcat Buzz centers on so many tremendous people, and you can find it on youtube.com /WakeUpCallDT. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course you could find the Bobcats on WakeUpCallDT.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You will find the Binghamton Bearcats Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time right here on Wake Up Call exclusively and what we call Bearcat Time. Those specials featuring moments with Marshall, with the Binghamton University Athletics Director Gene Marshall giving us a behind-the-scenes look at Binghamton University and the athletic department, and the Bearcat Break Room giving us the opportunity to speak with student-athletes, coaches, and administration on their incredible stories in connection with being at Binghamton University. You'll find all of our content with Binghamton by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and of course you can also find the Bearcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage, as well as underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to bubearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, big time thanks to my guest today inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Go to Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York, and see what's poppin'. So much more than they have incredible popcorn and kettle corn, and they have so many things beyond that as well. Head off to the snack capital of the world, Ma and Pa's, today, and let them know that DT sent you. 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Big time thanks to Liz Beville and LeMoyne, and a big time thanks to my guy Jason Lucas running through the NFL with me. Heritage Hill, our exclusive studio partner. Go out and see them in Pompey, as well as going to see their new location, Heritage Hill North, right down the road from CNS, and you will find them on 628 South Main Street in North Syracuse, New York. Have a beautiful day. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. Vote in our polls on X that are going on right now at Call DT. And as always, folks, have a beautiful day. God bless. No stress. Do your best. Dreams do come true. Keep working. Keep being a good person. Doing things with morals and values and God at your center.